Hey guys, it's Maggie Kane. Today I want to share with you guys a message that I learned today from Pastor Tim. Okay, so y'all gonna read 1 Samuel 6 to 13. I'm not gonna read it, but I'm gonna explain the story and stuff like that. Okay guys, so this is the story of when Samuel went to go look for the king, and God already knew who the king was, but Samuel didn't, and he had to go look for the king. So then Samuel had went to Jesse, and he had looked at all their sons trying to look for the king. First son was very tall, he was handsome, he was very cool and stuff like that. He was like, surely that must be the king. And God was like, no, that is not the king. So then Samuel was like, huh? Well, okay, let me try the second son. The second son comes out. He's just as cool, he's tall, and he's handsome as well. He was like, surely now that has to be the king. And God's like, no, that's not the king. And then Samuel's like, what you mean that's not the king? He was like, no, that has to be the king. God was like, no, that's not the king. So then he was like, okay, then bring out your other son. And he was just as tall and handsome as well. So Samuel was like, that has to be the king. And then God was like, no, that is not the king. So Samuel was confused and was like, okay, well, do y'all guys have another son? And then Jesse remembered that he had a younger son. And they were like, oh, yes, we do have a younger son. He's out in the field working. I mean, not in the field, the farm, my bad. So Samuel had went out in the field. I keep saying field? But he went out to the farm and he seen David. And God was like, that's the one. And he bowed down before God. So what message can I get out of this? When Samuel was looking for the king, he was looking for the outward appearance. But God was looking for the heart. What I'm trying to say is God doesn't really care too much about what you look like. It's about what is in your heart. You can be handsome, you can be tall, you can be dark, you can be white, but God doesn't care about any of that. He cares about what is in your heart. Second thing, David was the forgotten one. Like he was the outcast. He felt like he never belonged. Everyone had forgot about David. And that's how some of us feel like nowadays. And I know I can relate. Because growing up, I always felt like an outcast. I don't know if I said this already, but a lot of us feel just like David. Like we feel like an outcast. We don't feel like we belong. And I can relate to that. Like, sometimes I feel like I don't belong, especially as a child of God. When I'm hanging out with worldly people, I feel like I don't belong. And then once again, it's hard to find people that are just like me and want to follow Christ. So it's really hard to feel like I belong. But just like how God seen David and noticed David, God sees us and he noticed us. The first miracle in the story was that God had noticed David. It's not even about him being king. God has seen him. God has seen his heart. So what I'm trying to tell you guys today, God has a purpose for you and he sees you and he noticed you. If he can notice David, he can definitely notice you. He knows your plans for you and just trust on him. And yeah.